Good afternoon, my viewers for the Malayan History TV channel. Today, I am at Kampung Ulu Slim. I would like to show a small anecdote of an area which is very important in the study of the Battle of Malaya Campaign, which occurred on the 7th of January 1942. So I am right now standing at the marker site for the end of the Slim River battle that happened on the 7th of January 1942. So it may not seem that much, but the road in front of me used to be the main artery connecting between the northern peninsula Malaya or the western coast from Pulau Pinang to Kuala Lumpur. So maybe it was the only road connecting between Penang, Ipoh and Kuala Lumpur. So to the south of us, approximately around 20 kilometers lies Tanjung Malim town, which was the division HQ for Brigjen Archibald Paris. That was the acting GOC for the 11th Indian Division when the Battle of Slim River happened. So to the north of me, at around 3 kilometers distance, were the famous Kampung Ulu Slim Bridge, which was failed to be defended by the Gurkha Regiment or the 28th Indian Brigade on the 7th of January. The story or the incidents involving the Battle of Slim River was a very long one. But suffice for me to share today the important locations where it ended. So right now, if you can see, the road, it was a defilement area, and the sharp bend corner, which the exact locations for a tank that was commanded by Staff Sergeant Tonichiro Sato and was shot point blank by the unit of the 155th Field Regiment Royal Artillery, Yeomanry Lanarkshire. So, if I may explain a little bit, the Battle of Slim River occurred on the 7th of January 1942 and covered a large area at the length of 30 kilometers of road and railway access between Sungkai, Trollak and Slim River. The battle explained the Murphy Law perfectly, which is when things can go wrong, it will go wrong. As an avid World War II enthusiast and as an amateur historian myself, the Battle of Slim River proved how careless and incompetent the British generals were during the Malayan campaign. It also depicts the ineptitude of the ground commanders and how extremely unprepared the British forces as a fighting unit in the Malayan jungle conditions, even though they were given ample time to prepare the Malayan defences in anticipation of the imminent Japanese onslaught from the northern Malaya, at least 14 months before the outbreak of the hostilities. This battle took thousands of British lives. More than half of the British strategic assets were lost. 7 battalion commanders would be killed at or by the conclusion of it. The Battle of Slim River is a fascinating historical fact to study, not just for researchers and military historians, but for all active military personnel. The lessons are still relevant for military strategists today. If the fall of Singapore were labelled as the greatest military defeat for the British Armed Forces to date, the Battle of Slim River was the second greatest battle defeat for the British Army after the massacre of the Elphinstone Army during their ill-fated retreat from Kabul to Jalalabad in 1842. Exactly 100 years later, Arthur E. Percival would repeat the same debacle at Slim River. What happened on 7 January 1942 at Slim River will be just another piece of evidence of how diabolical the leadership quality of Lieutenant General Arthur E. Percival was. As the General Officer Commanding of the Malaya Command, the battle went through just for only one night. It covered quite a vast area defended by the larger British forces in terms of fighting men equipped with proper military weapons except tanks, against a brave 30 Japanese tanks from the 42nd Infantry Regiment of the 5th Division, which the invading enemy infantry swept behind the tank column supported by trucks and 20 armored cars, including troops on bicycles pouring in to fill the thrust gap left open by the frontal charge of the tanks. I will not explain in detail about the Battle of Slim River in this episode, at least not yet. That will be another special extensive and comprehensive video that I will try to come out in the future. What I will do this time around is to do a trial episode on the Battle of Slim River, touching only on the outer surface for an overview explanation of what had happened overall to the benefits of military researchers in trying to understand the appalling defeat suffered by the British division here. My intention for this video is just to show and tell a detailed story about the last marker site and what happened here between a British unit of the unassuming 155th Field Regiment Royal Artillery Yeomanry Lanarkshire moving in trucks column to the Kampung Ulu Slim and all of a sudden find themselves head-to-head with the advancing Japanese tank unit, which the outcome was fatal for both sides. But the skirmish here marked the end of the Battle of Slim River overall. To give my viewers a better understanding of how bad was the outcome of the Battle of Slim River for the British, the whole strength of the British 11th Indian Division was deemed as completely shattered and ineffective as a fighting division, with the loss of many important pieces of equipment such as motor transport vehicles, armored cars, anti-tank guns, wireless communications, and bring gun carriers, when this equipment and weapons have to be abandoned or destroyed in haste after the conclusion of this battle. Furthermore, the British also lost a large strategic area that was supposed to be easily defended, which had many natural defilements and river obstacles that could be used to their advantage in their strategy to halt the Japanese advance from the north. This particular area was reconnoitred by Brigadier Ivan Simpson, the Chief of the Royal Engineers, in late October, again on the 22nd of December 1941, when he was posted to Malaya at the last minute and was given a special directive by Winston Churchill himself to advise the British High Command on the right strategies on how to stop a tank attack from the north, since the British government had decided not to send any tanks to Malaya. The loss of Slim River also paved the way for the Japanese army to take Kuala Lumpur, Malaya's capital, without much of a hassle, just within 3 days after the loss of Slim River. The Battle of Slim River started at this Sungkai River crossing, which I label as marker site number 1. This particular area was also where the metal road and railway bridges were located parallel to each other going from north to south Malaya. Both of these bridges were destroyed by the unit of the Royal Engineers, most probably by the unit of the Royal Bombay Sappers and Miners on the evening of the 5th of January 1942, right after the whole British 11th Division was pulled out from the Kampar position. The Sungkai sector was initially occupied by the heroes of the Kampar's battle, the 15th Indian Brigade, before they were instructed to retreat further south to Rawang amid the new enemy approach from Kuala Selangor Batang Bujuntai Road. Nevertheless, this bridge was repaired by the Japanese military engineers in a very short duration period, and the first contact was established with the British unit a bit further south of this railway bridge on the evening of the 5th of January 1942, but they were repulsed by the men of the 4th 19th Hyderabad Battalion. The official commencement of the Battle of Slim River, however, started in the early morning of 7th of January 1942 at 3:30 am. I am right now standing at the marker site number 1, which I label myself to give a better understanding to all of my viewers about the video or the episode on the Battle of Slim River, which I am about to show to all of you. So, the marker site number 1, as where I am standing right now, is very important because on the 5th of January 1942, both of this bridge, which ran almost parallel to each other. On my right side is the supposed to be a railway bridge, but today have been rebuilt to support the modern need of the double railway track electrified. And the bridge where I am standing right now, connecting between the old town of Sungkai and supposed to head towards Trolak. Both of these bridge had been destroyed by the Royal Engineers men as early as on the 4th or 5th of January 1942. The grave mistake that was made by the British war planners is that they do not defended both of these main access or artery and further to deny it not to be used by the invading Japanese armed forces. And because the marker site number 1 had been left deliberately by the 11th Indian Division men, the railway bridge had been used by a company strength of the Japanese infantry from the 5th Guard Divisions to move forward and probe the line further. And they met the unit of the 4th 19th Hyderabad as early as on the 5th of January 1942. And the Hyderabad unit managed to decimate almost a company strength of the Japanese forces that were probing down the railway line. And ever since that, the Japanese forces pulled back and await for their engineers to man both of this bridge, especially the bridge of the metal road connecting between Sungkai and Trolak, of where I am standing now. This bridge was repaired in a very short duration of time, which allowed for Japanese tank to move forward. And according to my readings, some of the Tamil coolies, which try to seek safety to the south of us, when they met the men of the 12th Indian Brigade and was brought to meet Lieutenant Colonel Stewart, the CO of the 12th Indian Brigade at the time, some of the Tamil coolies had warned Colonel Ian McAllister Stewart about the impending danger of a ironclad ship moving over this river crossing through the bridge that was supposed had been manned by the Japanese engineers. But Colonel Ian Stewart took the warning lightly, because he was assuming that what was meant by the Tamil police most probably were just trucks. This is very mind-boggling, considering that the British Armed Forces had suffered defeat after defeat, from Alustar, from Jitra to Alustar to Gurun to Penang, and through the Perak State, but still they do not heed to the warning given by the locals populations. So for the benefits of my viewers' understanding, I mark this site as the site number 1, which is vital for us to understand about the Battle of Slim River. And the railway bridge, which position in front of me, had been rebuilt ever since. It's supposed to look like a typical iron cage railway bridge, as what we can see on the east coast. But to support the need of the modern need, double railway track electrified, the government had replaced the old railway bridge with the one that we can see right now in front of me. So this river crossing is very important. You can see how deep the river flow. We are today coming to the monsoon month in November and December, so the water runs deep. It's supposed to be defended and guarded by the men of the 11th Indian Division, but they choose not to, which was a grave mistake on the military strategic part. And they decided to await for the first contact to be established at the Trolak sector, which were further south from where I am now, which I will bring all of you to that area later.
Before we move to the next episode, I need to point out one crucial fact related to the study of the Battle of Slim River. Apart from the failure of the British generals in the preparation stage, the road of Malaya was the crucial lifeline for the 25th Imperial Japanese Army in their swift charge to Singapore. The road of Perak in particular was built in the early 20th century mainly to support the transportation of tin commodities and later rubber output around the state of Perak to their main ports. This land access has been improved several times and latest just before the outbreak of the war in 1939. The British colonial government carried out the mega project of widening and connecting the north of Malaya to Singapore, including straightening some of the old winding and crooked roads within the Sungkai and Trolak sectors. The Japanese military government, a few years before the outbreak of the war, had sent many of their spies to Malaya, disguising themselves as barbers, photographers, and all sorts of cover jobs, so they would be able to freely scour the hinterland of Malaya, collecting intelligence reports for the preparation of their invasion. They mapped out the Malayan road very clearly and in detail, including the existence of old loop roads that had already been abandoned and now overgrown by the secondary jungle after the completion of the 1939 mega project. These old loop roads proved vital during the Battle of Slim River, which contributed to the Japanese Army's success in outflanking the British unit's position within the Trolak sector. Strangely, it was not covered by the British Army or even recorded or identified in their war maps, even though they were the defensive force. Moreover, many of the Public Works Department personnel were members of the 1st Perak Federated Malay States Volunteer Force, and the British generals should have sought their advice in defending the Perak State.
I am now standing at the milestone 59 in the 1940s war map, and I would like to show everybody the road on my left side is the Federal Route 1. It was first developed and built by the British colonial government for the Perak State for the purpose of transporting tin, which was the number one commodities back then for the Perak State. Prior to the 19th century and early 20th century. So because of the richness tin brought to the state of Perak, the British government again in 1939 have repaired and improved the road condition, which was the Federal Route 1. In 1939, in a massive mega project, So all the old road that was built prior to 1939, which have to maneuver around a very difficult terrain for the state of Perak, have been straightened out. So before this, just now I have brought you to the milestone 58 to show the old loop road that was used by the Japanese Army in their advance to Kuala Lumpur. At milestone 58, there is no battle happened or occurred. And another one at milestone 59, there was also an old loop road that appear in the Japanese Army map, but wasn't appeared in British Army map. So if I can show all of you, we can still see the remains of the old road that was built prior to 1939. You can identify it by the gravel or the old bitumen that had been installed by the Malayan coolies in the 1930s when the British government embarked on a massive project to improve the Federal Route 1 road. So because the terrain and area was a very difficult one, and due to richness tin brought to Malaya or to the state of Perak in particular, they managed to invest to improve the road, and this mega project completed in 1939. And prior to finishing up the new route in 1939, relatively, the Japanese spies had already located all the loop roads from Ipoh down to Kuala Lumpur for the possibility of it to be used by the Japanese Army in their advance to Singapore. So from Sungkai sector to the Trolak sector, we are at the borderline between Sungkai and Trolak at milestone 60. You can see there's a number of an old loop road that could be utilized by the Japanese Army from the 42nd Infantry Regiment to advance to south. And their main objective is to capture the Slim River Bridge, which I will later bring all of you. So these are the old remnants of the pre-1939 loop road. And after 1939, the Malayans people use the relatively new Federal Route 1 road, which is currently in front of me. So we are at around 4 miles from Sungkai Old Town. So this road coming in from the Sungkai will bring us to the Trolak sector, which is just about in front of that traffic light. So I want all of you to imagine in 1942, during the Malayan campaign, the Imperial Japanese Army from the 5th Division advanced through this road on my left side, moving towards the Trolak sector, which the demarcation line between Trolak and Sungkai were just beyond that traffic light in front of me. And all around us in 1942, in January 1942, were just thick jungle. And the access that could be used by a bulk of an infantry carrying weapons, war supplies, infantrymen, armored car, and also tanks can only use a double parallel access, which was the Federal Route 1 on my left side, and also the railway line, which located at around 300 meters from where I am standing right now on my left side. So both arteries were very vital for the Imperial Japanese Army, and it is very much in the mind of Lieutenant General Tomoyuki Yamashita for them to utilize and advance down south to capture the main objective, which was the Slim River Bridge, located at around 15 kilometers from where I am standing now. So now I'll bring all of you to the first defensive position that was occupied by the 4th 19th Hyderabad C Company astride this Federal Route 1 road, just beyond that small hill up there in front of me, if you can see. So we'll go there now.